In breaking news just coming in, Virat Kohli has escaped punishment from the BCCI as far as the case of abusing a journalist in Perth is concerned. The board has acknowledged the importance of the media in popularizing the game of cricket and has asked Virat Kohli to maintain the dignity of the team in future. The board has in fact been in touch with the team management and advised them to make sure such incidents do not happen in the future. For more, let's go straight across to a headline series. Consulting editor sports with the India Today group, Boria Majumdar, who's with us live. Boria, the BCCI asking Virat Kohli to keep the team's dignity in mind going forward. Is that the best that the BCCI can do?
It's a rare departure, Shiv. It's a rare departure from the dispensation of the BCCI that we have become used to. Anurag Thakur clearly taking a step forward and is telling that the media is an important constituent. We had forgotten this. In fact, the media manager's release yesterday was in such poor taste. He wanted us to believe that there was no abusive language used. In fact, he writes exactly those words. So if there was no abusive language used, Anurag Thakur need not have sent this release. So either the media manager was not revealing the truth or he was lying. So there is a lot to be desired in the way the media has been handled by the BCCI in the recent past, and I'm glad that the newly elected secretary has taken a very active and a very positive stance. The media manager's conduct in Australia, that even if you go and say hello and hi to the players, you are reprimanded and said your media accreditation will be taken off. Such kind of things are happening in Australia at this point in time. Having covered Indian cricket for a good 2 decades, I can tell you, relationship has deteriorated to no end, and hopefully the BCCI, the new dispensation in the BCCI will take active steps in this regard. I welcome Anurag's statement. I hope Virat will not do this in future because the media and the players need to be in synergy.
Absolutely. So, is this going to call an end to this entire controversy, Boria?
I hope it is because, obviously India is in the middle of a World Cup campaign, but this should be signal enough for Virat, who's our next captain, already our current captain in Test match cricket, that he needs to behave with far more responsibility. He's on the cusp of greatness. He's a tremendous player. There is no need for him to indulge in these kind of acts. So while I respect Anurag's request that, this matter should now be put to an end because we are in the middle of a World Cup campaign, I also appreciate the fact that he says that the media is an important constituent to popularize cricket in India. It's a big statement and it's a departure from what the BCCI would do in the recent past. So in that sense, let's bury the hatchet, but there are lessons to be learned. The lesson one, the media manager should behave with far more responsibility than what he has done in the recent past. 2, players need to take the media seriously and treat them with respect. 3, the BCCI needs to act with immediate urgency, and they have done in this case. So I think it's time to move on, but lessons need to be learned.
Boria, stay with me for a moment. Rasesh Mandani is also with me live from Mumbai. Rasesh, as Boria just pointed out, a rare departure for the BCCI to go ahead and actually, issue this statement on Virat Kohli, asking him to, keep the team's dignity in mind. And Boria says, he hopes that this will call an end to this entire affair. What are you picking up, Rasesh?
You're right, and Boria is right in saying that it's a departure from the way BCCI has worked. Remember, BCCI, we worked in a times and it covered cricket at times when there used to be no media manager and there was zero communication. So in that sense, yes, an improvement. In fact, the newly elected secretary Anurag Thakur's worked over time. We gather, speaking with the parties concerned, with the media organization in this case concerned, to come to this. But the fact still remains that had the media management on tour at that point in time when the incident occurred in front of the cameras, in front of the whole media, taken certain steps, reprimanded the player then and there, arranged a meeting between the player and the journalist concerned, it would not have come down to a situation where the board has to issue a media release to all and sundry admitting that the incident occurred, and in fact conflicting its own media manager's version, which was earlier, as we are now understand clearly and live, where it was said that it was a miscommunication. It wasn't a miscommunication. It was a case of mistaken identity on part of Virat Kohli and clearly an incident which was uncalled for.
Rasesh, Boria, stay with me. Also want to bring in Shivani joining me live from Perth. Shivani, was this expected? How is the team going to take this? Like Boria said, a rare departure for the BCCI in even issuing a statement of this kind, whether it's going to be interpreted as a reprimand or an attempt by the board to actually bring this entire very ugly controversy to a quick end? How is it being interpreted on the ground? I know the news is just broken, but what are you hearing?
Shiv, this is actually a very intricate balance act, if I can call that, from the BCCI. While on one hand, they've managed to shield Virat Kohli from having to issue a personal apology to the journalist concerned, they've also managed to send out a message that they will deal with such activities or such action, such behavior strictly. And as you might have already discussed, the BCCI has, in a way, told the world that the team management here in Perth didn't handle it the way that it should have. The team manager here, Dr. Baba, had actually issued a release saying that the matter is settled and there was no abusive behavior. Obviously, that is not the BCCI official line anymore. Just an hour earlier, we had also talked about, first on Headlines Today, Hindustan Times reaction. And they also said that we will not take this issue any further, and they lauded the BCCI, especially the reconstituted BCCI and its officials, Anurag Thakur, the new secretary, for the way that they have handled this issue. Sukwan Basra, the sports editor at Hindustan Times, spoke to me personally and said that we are happy with the way that they have responded to this and we are satisfied with this. So even though not a public apology from Virat, the fact that the BCCI has issued this release actually shows a departure from the past from the past functions of the board, Shiv.
Absolutely, it's an interesting balancing act. The repercussions of which will be known. Not that we're expecting any overt reactions from the team itself, but this has been a distraction, has it not, Boria? The fact that this involves Virat Kohli, the substance of this entire story was the uglier, as ugly as it can possibly get. Involved senior journalists who were there. Complaints, flying thick and fast, clarifications coming in, people whispering about what really is going on. This has been a really ugly distraction.
Of course it is. And that's why I agree with Anurag that Virat did not have to issue a public apology. For God's sake, we're playing West Indies tomorrow. It's a hugely important game. If we lose to the West Indies and Virat is your #1 player, if you lose to the West Indies, you don't top the pool. Your primary focus should be on the World Cup, and that's what he's trying to prove to the world and tell us that, let's move on. So he's right in that sense. At the same time, if this was swept under the cover, which is exactly what Dr. Baba was trying to do, and pathetically so, let me put this very bluntly, the media manager fell far short of our expectations. His job is to facilitate a synergy between the media and the players and not act to the contrary. His actions are pathetic. They are abominable. So in trying to sweep this whole thing under the cover, what he's actually done, he's put the BCCI in a really bad light. He's put the player in a bad light, and what he's contributed to is a deteriorating relationship between the media and the Indian team management. There, Anurag's efforts need to be lauded. He's justly protected Virat Kohli on the eve of a very important game. At the same time, he's sending out a signal, and in very clear-cut terms, that such actions will not be tolerated. I think it's a good move. I welcome the move. At the same time, I hope lessons are learned, and big lessons. Rashesh was talking about why this came to this. The team management, especially the media manager, is not good enough to handle it, and that is a clear-cut signal, which is why it's come to this.